Hi there, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Kat Delgadio here to co-host our event today with our CEO, Hall Martin, who's going to be telling you a little bit more about what we do here at 10 Capital.
Great. Thanks, Kat. I want to thank everybody for joining us today for another great round of presentations and also a presentation on how to invest in deep tech. With that, before we jump into it, let's talk more about what 10 Capital does and how we work. At heart, we help startups and investors connect for funding. Next slide. So we help with fundraise strategy. We help put together pitch decks, due diligence documents, analyst reports, and other key information. We make extensive use of AI work to build some of these documents as well. We also set up events online, in person, and dinner events to help do the engagement. It's a very structured process. So in short, we provide the legwork, saving you time and money for your fundraise. Next slide. We also help form capital for the startup ecosystem. We do this in several ways. The first is we help high net worth start and run family offices. We also have a program that helps VC funds find limited partners, mostly through family offices. And finally, we help angel groups find members. Each of those are ways of building more capital for the early stage ecosystem. Next slide. We have five online events we do each month. First, we do a family office roundtable. It's a 2-hour event with topics relevant to those who are starting and running a family office. We have a virtual quick pitch. This is for tech companies. Each company gets 10 minutes to pitch, 5 minutes of Q&A, and then we have breakout rooms at the end. We also have a life science syndicate event. This is for life science companies or those on the FDA path. And we also have a education session, which is what we're in today, in which we have a topic related to investor education, as well as pitches. And finally, we do in-person events as well. We do these once a month in different cities around the country. We were in Austin a few weeks ago. We're on our way to Dallas, August 14th. We'll be in the Bay Area, September 19th. We'll be in New York, October 16th, and we'll be back in Santa Monica, November 5th. And finally, we'll be back in Houston on December 2nd. These are half-day events. If you want to know more about our events, just click on 10capital.group and go to the events page, and you can see what events we have coming up. Love to see you in one of those. Next slide. If you're a startup and you're raising funding, go ahead and take a picture of that QR code on the screen, fill out the form, and send it to us, and we'll follow up to see if this program is a good fit for you. As you see people pitch in this program, we are looking for others that want to join us in the future. Next slide. We do have a survey at the end. Love to hear your feedback on the event we have today. We're always trying to improve and make it better, and looking forward to seeing what thoughts you have to help us figure that out. Next slide. We also do extensive work in AI. We have generated over 500 prompts that we use for startup funding and investing. We use this in our due diligence reports, deal memos, analyst reports, and many other tools that we offer. Let's hear more about it. We call the chatbot Ava, and it's a private LLM, so your information is not out in the wild. But let's hear how Ava works through the following video.
Hi there. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ava, your personal AI venture assistant. I'm your new best friend in the world of investing in startups, the 10 Capital AI chatbot. I'm here to make your journey through the startup ecosystem easier, faster, and a lot more fun. Need help finding your next big investment? Or maybe you're a founder looking for fundraising tips? I've got you covered. I pull all my knowledge from over 500 blogs, countless podcasts, and even some nifty calculators, like the How Fundable Is Your Startup tool, to give you the answers you need. So how do I work? Easy. You simply go to where I live on startupfundingespresso.com and look for me in the bottom right. As soon as I appear, go ahead and click on me to let me know you're here. And then there you go. All your questions answered at your fingertips. Whether you're into health tech, biotech, life sciences, or any of the other exciting fields out there, I'm equipped to help you navigate the trends, challenges, and opportunities in each one. Got a question? Just ask. And guess what? I even pull insights from the 10 Capital Network podcast on Investor Connect. It's packed with expert advice, success stories, and more, all designed to help you succeed in the venture capital world. So what are you waiting for? Let's chat. I'm here 24/7 to help you find the right answers, connect with great opportunities, and make the most out of your investments. See you on startupfundingespresso.com.
Great. And we'll be back in touch with more information about the due diligence work that we do. Before we get started with our presentations today, let's meet our panelists. We have two with us today. First, we have Brett Stryker from EOS. Brett, can you tell us more about yourself and your work?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Brett Stryker. Currently, I'm an EOS implementer. My background is I've started a handful of companies. My most recent one was a snack food manufacturing company. We were in about 10,000 stores nationwide. Exited that about 4 years ago. Had private equity, venture capital, angels, friends, family, and now as an EOS implementer, helping companies grow and scale, get organized in a simplified way. It's happy to be here.
Great, thanks. And next to him is Matt Renner of Startup Rank. Matt, can you tell us more about yourself and your company?
Yeah, thanks. Spent 15 years as a founder in a vertical SaaS company, sold it in 2022 to private equity, did a little music afterwards and enjoyed life, and then got back in the startup game. Uprank, we help companies find the right software in days, not months, and improve their implementation and management of SaaS products.
Great, thanks. We'll have our first presenter come up here in a moment. We have with us Combat Medical. Guy, if you want to launch your slides and kick off when ready. For those in the audience, each company will have 10 minutes to pitch and 5 minutes of Q&A. You may post those questions in the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll read those out when we get to the Q&A portion. Guy, whenever you're ready, let's go and kick off.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm not quite sure. It's 7 minutes past 7 in a sort of grey and drizzly UK here.
Great. We see your slides. I don't know if they're in presentation mode yet.
They're coming.
Okay.
We're only a poor British company. We can't afford fast-moving computers. It comes coal-powered. It's done when it's there. Okay, can you see them now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Guy Cooper. I'm a MD over here in the UK, but really, I haven't earned an honest living in medicine for many years, and I'm the biz dev guy for a company called Combat Medical. We're looking for 5 million US to top out a 7.5 round, mostly to pay for our FDA trial. There's no innovation that's effective, affordable, tolerable, usable, available in the world's most expensive cancer. Pretty big statement, but true. And we're talking about bladder cancer, cancer of the bladder. Very prevalent, very highly recurrent, doesn't tend to kill you, so keeps coming back. Very, very expensive to treat. A little bit about the company. We've done more than 100,000 procedures to date. We're out there, we're real in the world. I should have been in procedures in Manchester today, but I managed to squeak out of it and give it to one of our sales reps who's much better qualified than me. We have distributors in 30 plus places around the world. We exist. We did 4.3 million in revenues last year with a 700,000 plus EBITDA. We have many clinical publications. Our inventions are covered by a good range of enforceable patents. And our platform technology has multiple applications across different cancers. I was hoping to come in today and say that our FDA trial has started today or yesterday. We were supposed to be putting the first catheter into a patient last Thursday in Worcester. That's Worcester in Worcestershire, not Worcester in Massachusetts. But the patient wasn't very well, so hopefully this week. This is what we do. We give chemotherapy hypothermically. You see a patient here lay in bed or in a couch in an outpatient department. We put a catheter into his bladder and circulate and heat chemotherapy within the patient's bladder, only affecting the targeted organ. No systemic effects, no systemic side effects. Very powerful, precise heating. So we only heat the organ that we're aiming at. The pressure is also kept very precise. When you see the patient was just laying on a bed talking to the nurse, there's no anesthesia, no analgesia. The patient is perfectly awake and happy during the procedure. The nurse is happy as well. This is a critical factor. They can do it as part of their everyday procedures, and we can be used with many drugs. And across our 2 different machines that we have now and more that are coming in different cancers also, but we'll talk almost exclusively today about cancer of the bladder. So how does hypothermia work? Why does heating an organ up make chemotherapy work better? Now, I'm an orthopedic surgeon by training, so we're the stupidest of all of the MDs. So I have to present it in a very simple fashion because otherwise I don't understand it. A very English analogy: if I have a hot cup of tea and I want to dissolve more sugar into it, I can dissolve more sugar in a hot tea than a cold tea. More solute dissolves in a hotter solvent, more sugar in tea, more chemotherapy in heated urothelial bladder cells, 40% more for the most commonly used drug. If I take you back to your chemistry classes at school, you'll remember that if you wanted the reaction to work faster, you heated the test tube up. Exactly the same. Heat works as a catalyst. 80% greater cytotoxicity, cellular death. At 43 degrees, which is the temperature we heat to, the optimum temperature, than at body temperature. Finally, we see here, talking to Brett as we came in, about British holidaymakers in Turkey. This is what every British holidaymaker on the beach in Antalya looks like. Cells cannot tolerate heat, mine especially. Healthy cells at 43 degrees can just about tolerate this, and they will sweat off the heat. But unhealthy cells, less well differentiated cells, less well organized cells, cancer cells will not. So we get some direct thermal cell death. That's why 43 is the sweet spot for numbers. There's also something else very interesting happening, and this was research done at Duke University in Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, one of them, should know. When you heat cells, they don't like it very much and they start to give off an immune response, these things called heat shock proteins. These act as a marker for T-cell mediated immune response, natural killer cells to come in and attack the cells that are predominantly giving these markers off, the tumoral cells. So this is also remembered, like all immunology, and the next time these cells start to appear, the body will attack them again. This is why our recurrence-free rates are so much longer than with other treatments. Today, if you are unfortunate enough to get bladder cancer, 4th most common cancer in men, in terms of money spent, the most expensive cancer out there. You'll have a small operation where they'll remove the tumors from inside of your bladder through a telescope. Then you will have up to 27 doses of immunotherapy. This is the standard treatment that's been around since the 1970s. Or maybe you'll have 15 doses of chemotherapy. This is an alternative treatment. But 80% of all patients have a recurrence, and 50% of those patients recur in the first year. The more this recurs, of course, the greater the cost, the greater the pain, the greater the problem, but the greater the problem of it recurring worse, so-called progressing, and you're having to have your bladder removed. If you have your bladder removed, you've cured the cancer, but your kidneys don't know that your bladder isn't there, and you have to have a lifetime of continence care through urinary diversions and other complex urologic procedures. With us, similar pathway, diagnosis, but urine in the blood, hematuria is the most common presentation. Surgical removal of the cancer, 15 treatments of HIVEC in a year. Much reduced recurrence rate, much reduced progression rate, many more bladders saved. Around 70% of the year. Clinical studies of which we have many. This is a keynote one, if you will. 174 patients, of whom these 54 at the top are the worst guys. These are the guys who have a different type of tumor that's difficult to see, and if it's difficult to see, it's difficult to remove. For these guys, nearly 70% of them have no tumor at a year. Now, is that good or bad or indifferent? I don't know. If I was still working in orthopedics and only 7 out of 10 of my hips or knees survived to a year, I think they would probably throw me off the roof of the hospital. But we're not in that world here. Let's see what 70% complete response rate at a year looks like compared to other new therapies in this area. A small pharmaceutical company called Merck, who you may know, have a product called Keytruda, which was worth 30 billion US last year. And they have a 41% complete response rate at 3 months. Now, hang on a minute. 7 out of 10 of our patients had no cancer a year. 6 out of 10 of their patients have got cancer again after 12 weeks. Doesn't sound very good. This is the FDA's only truly approved and available treatment for these patients. Ferring, another big deal with a pharma company to bring out their bladder gene therapy. 50% complete response rate after 3 months. CG Oncology launched on the NASDAQ last year for a healthy $2 billion market cap. 68% complete response, not at a year, but after 3 months. Immunity Bio, another new drug company, again launched in the US, $2.1 billion market cap, 62% at 3 months. Now, hang on a minute. All of these wonderful, new, innovative, expensive drugs and therapies. This means that after a year, 7 out of 10 of our patients have still got their bladder. After 3 months, with the best of the rest, 6 out of 10 have lost their bladder. This is our trial where we will prove this in bigger numbers. As I say, this should have started last week. It'll now start. We've got 6 hospitals ready to go. We've got another 25 in the process who will all be ready during the fall this year. We expect interim results in 2026 and FDA approval in 29. As I say, we're already most places, but you will see a glaring omission in the US. We talk of US market size, service of attainable market. There's around 10,000 patients a year who have this specific failure of primary treatment of bladder cancer. They'd have 15 treatments each at $4,000 per treatment in the US, which is a US SOM of 600 million. If we look at this globally, there's 800,000 patients per year having this treatment. The prices are less, but it gives us a multi-billion-dollar global market. The market's growing. A lot of these patients weren't treated back in my day of clinical medicine because they were old people who were going to die of something else, is the terrible way of looking at it. However, old people are young people now and they want treating. So it's expected by various market research agencies to be a huge growing market, hence why Merck are interested in it, hence why J&J are interested in it, hence why Ferring are interested in it. We have a razor blade model that's already well established, whereby we give away or sell at a low cost the capital and make our money through the margins on the consumable items. 15 treatments per patient per year. High gross margins in excess of 80%. We already have in place a global network of 40 or so third-party distributors. And mostly in that market, we're now selling consumable. And we're pretty good. You know, we're doing 50,000 procedures a year across our 2 different areas. So our market, our manufacturing supply chain is pretty robust with redundancies built in and multiple supplies. Even if we just
3
did
minutes
what we
left.
did today, yeah, sorry, I'm getting there. I understand. Even if we just continue to do what we did today, and we got some approvals in some non-US areas, we would expect to see $100 million business. Experienced commercial leaders and our clinical board reads like a who's who of global bladder cancer with this is the gentleman from Duke, Professor Inman, Peter Black from Vancouver. I mean, if you knew bladder cancer, all of these names would mean something to you. So there is no innovation that's effective, affordable and tolerable in the world's most expensive cancer until now. So for us, 1 year, cancer-free 70%. The best of the rest, 40 to 60% at 3 months. We're well priced, 5 to 60,000 per patient, depending where you are. The cheapest in the US is around $400,000 per patient. Low side effects, high side effects from these systemic treatments. We've already done more than 100,000 treatments. These guys haven't done 10,000 treatments between them. We're looking for 5 to top out a 7.5 round. The first inflection point will come in 26 when our interim data comes out, and the second in 29. I expect in 26 that we will be bought or heavily invested in by somebody from trade sale, whether it's Boston or Bard or BD or Stryker or Teleflex or somebody like this. But those $2 billion NASDAQ launches look quite interesting as well. So there's a chance that we might go down that route. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Guy. Great presentation. Brett, what's your first question?
Yeah, Guy, very interesting. Great background. I'm curious to know a little bit more about your manufacturing process. Are you guys primarily in-house, outsourced, hybrid, and distribution to the US? How are you looking to do that?
Yep. So today we manufacture critical components ourselves, which we can scale because we've got the space in the room and the expertise to do it. And then the assembly of our kits, because it's like a Lego sort of arrangement where you put the valve into the thing and build it out, is done by a company called Promepla, who are French and are the largest medical component manufacturer in the world. So we're pretty solid with that. For the US, our model is slightly different because we will have to co-package with the drug. We have a signed agreement with the largest drug manufacturer for the specific drug that we will use. And we have the next round after this, the Series B that will come after this, will look at funding for that, most of which will go into stock, which will then be saleable. So there have been times in the past where our manufacturing chain wasn't so good, but the fact we've done it for 10 years, we're quite good at it now.
Right. And let's give Matt his choice there. What's your first question, Matt?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about, 3 years for FDA approval. So is the goal to then like sign a JV with someone in the US, or you mentioned possibly getting acquired, a Series B?
So we have worked up plans for US direct sales, costed and looked at, that would take us to having a direct sales model in the US from the revenues that we would make. However, I would suggest that when we show interim data in 2026, N26 probably, on our first 75 patients, and it's looking better than Merck, Ferring, J&J, others, I think probably at that stage, somebody from there will swoop in and make a big investment into us, and we'll disappear through trade sale then. But for an investor point of view, you get your money back at a multiple of 10, 20, who knows? So that's not the worst outcome. I can retire then and go back to Turkey on the beach.
Great. That's our 15 minutes. Thanks so much. We'll have further questions in the breakout room. Let's bring up our next presenter. We have with us today WorldTree. Doug, if you can launch your slides and kick off when you're ready.
Yep, you bet. Thanks, Hall. This should get to present mode very quickly. Really great to be here and happy to be presenting again. Bloomberg said that WorldTree, oops, why did that stop? Bloomberg said about us that WorldTree represents the most technologically advanced carbon capture system on the planet. And that is a tree. Let me see if I can get this off. Well, is this poll showing on my screen?
We see we need a new kind of lumber up there now.
Okay, perfect. So the poll results isn't okay.
Move
fine.
the poll to the side, yeah.
Yeah. So the world has a dramatic shortage in lumber. It's increasing year by year by year. We need more than we can supply, and we're not growing lumber fast enough to be able to keep up with demand. And so World Tree has started a company that's commercializing the fastest growing lumber in the world in North America. No one's ever done it before. This poll screen that's up here won't allow me to advance my slides.
Can you move it to the side? Just click and drag it from the top down.
I can't, and it's because it's
Actually, just exit it out, Doug. We're done running that poll.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it's let's see if I can.
You should close it now. Yeah.
I can't get to the X because it's covered up by your screen sharing and stop share and all that part. So I can't move the box. Sorry about that. There
Okay.
we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to stop sharing your screen, so you're gonna have to start sharing your screen again.
Okay, perfect. There we go. The Plonia tree, it's a very friendly, benign, non-invasive species. No one's ever commercialized it here in the US. You see 8-month-old trees on one of our farms in Costa Rica. We plant in the southeastern US, Costa Rica, and Mexico. You see there in the center a 10-year-old tree in Tennessee. This produces beautiful finished lumber. Could be used for a variety of different purposes and is around the world. For us, we're focused on finished lumber where we can sequester carbon in long-lasting products for a long amount of time. Also, the highest profit margin. Again, non-invasive, supports biodiversity. Then the most amazing thing about this species is when we harvest it in 8 to 10 years, the tree regrows from the stump. It will do that for 5 generations. So it's truly renewable, truly renewable, regenerative lumber. So here's where we are right now. We've raised over $17 million in non-dilutive capital over the last 9 years since we've been planting. 9 years of R&D. We have 7,000 acres planted, more than $300 million worth of lumber in the ground right now. We start our first harvest next year, so our 10th year, and we're EBITDA positive next year. Very rare that someone gets to invest into a Series A that has this asset level, real assets already on the books. So we have we raise money every year, and one is for our EcoTree program. That's how we got this 7,000 acres. We partner with small farmers and investors, mostly accredited investors, and then we share the profits when we harvest the lumber. Typically, we expect a 6 to 7x for investors. Farmers get 50%, investors 30%, World Tree 20%. And that's how we've grown our asset base year after year. We're going to continue to do that, but we're going to scale with much larger projects. And so we raise money every year in this program, and it also has significant tax advantages for an accredited investor, about a 55 to 60% passive loss carry forward that someone can apply against other passive gains that they have. So these are just some of the pictures of some of the great products that this wood goes into. It's really, really valuable, high integrity, the highest strength to weight ratio of any lumber on the planet. And we're selling right now into the marine industry, into Gibson guitars, Fender guitars, and in a big way into the interiors industry that we'll be able to announce in the next couple weeks. The market we're selling into is a $170 billion wholesale market. That's just those categories on the left here that you see. It's $170 billion in North America. That's what we focused on. So we have plenty of room to grow to be able to move into that and to be able to grow into that market. The biggest issue we've had right now in the market is not enough supply because we don't harvest our own fields until next year. There's been small independent growers out there that we've purchased their wood, harvested, milled, and used to sell to manufacturers to test and to start to bring us on. So, for example, President Jimmy Carter, visionary that he was, took 15 acres of his peanut farm in Plains, Georgia, 20 years ago, planted them in Polonia, and they grew to maturity, didn't know what to do with them. Someone put him in touch with us 6 years ago. We paid him to harvest his trees. We made a signature line of guitars out of it with Fender, as well as other furniture pieces, things like that. His 15 acres produced about $750,000 worth of lumber. So it's not like it was a tiny thing. So we're growing and we're raising capital to actually develop larger projects. We have large corporate investors like Shell and Nestle and others that have looked at our projects and said, wow, we really love this. We're invested in nature-based projects, but you have to be bigger. You need to be bigger, and for bigger to them, meaning projects that will total up to $100 million worth of investment from them. So we're designing projects that are 2,000 to 5,000 acres in size. You can see just a snapshot of what they look like, a really great IRR, really great environmental benefits, which is one of the reasons Shell and Nestle and others are investing in projects like this. And they're not monoculture. We plant trees and crops at the same time. So they're very friendly for local communities and for the soil and for biodiversity and things like that. We've got a pipeline of 45,000 acres that we want to develop and design out. 2 projects designed, the rest to be designed. That's what we're raising capital for. We're raising anywhere from $6 to $8 million. We've raised $3.5 million already. So we're on the back half of this raise. And that all goes into developing these projects so they're ready for capital for the corporate market. So this is what the future revenues for WorldTree looks like. Almost all these revenues that you see in the green bars are from existing trees that are already planted. So that's the really cool thing. That's why you see an increase and a dip is just on how we're planting over the years. The key thing that drives our value is in the red box here, and that's acres under management. As we grow to 30, 40, 50,000 acres, that's what drives our value and gives an equity investor a 15 to 20x return on exit. We've got a really great team, really experienced team. I have successful exits. My background, our board does. Our board's raised well over $1 billion in capital. And so just a snapshot of the 2 raises we're doing. One is the one we do every year, but then the other is the equity round, the Series A round that we're doing that we're halfway through. It's a $35 million valuation. That is simply the net present value of trees that are in the ground right now. So there's no blue sky. We're not valuing our IP for this round or anything like that. And so with that, I'd love to take questions.
Great presentation, Doug. With that, Matt, what's your first question?
Yeah, with the long time horizon, are there any plans for liquidity for investors prior to maybe whatever the eventual outcome is?
Sure, yeah. So on the equity side, we definitely plan an exit within 3 to 4 years at the max. And that would be, for us, we want to scale to that 40,000 acre number that really puts us in the $500 million plus valuation. Obviously, an investor in the EcoTree program, it's a 8 to 10 year hold. And that's, people do that, family offices and individuals and higher net worth. But on the equity side, we're planning the 3 to 4 year exit. The purchase is most likely, the contacts we've had is going to come from the lumber side, probably the offtake side. More and more offtakers want to own the source of their lumber for security reasons, not pricing. And so that's the interest that we've had so far, and that's where we'd expect that purchase to come from.
Great. And Brett, what's your first question?
Yeah, a lot of chatter going on in the world about farming and supporting farmers. So that's kind of my question is kind of the farmer onboarding process. It looks like you've identified some space. What does the onboarding process look like, the due diligence, and then what does that support look like throughout that growth cycle?
Yeah, so for the EcoTree program, again, we have 375 small farmers in that program right now. We probably bring on 50 to 75 farmers a year, depending on the capital that we raise. We, again, we focus on the regions where we have long growing seasons. So that's why we're in the southeastern US, Costa Rica, Mexico. Stay away from drought areas, stay away from fire areas, things like that. Regarding the farmers themselves, we put all of them through Kiss the Ground Soil Health Academy. So they're educated about soil health, about regenerative agriculture. Almost all of our farmers intercrop with the trees. So this isn't just we're going to put trees in and wait 10 years. We're teaching them to intercrop. So they're actually producing more revenue per acre than they would get just farming by itself. And then the trees actually give them a huge benefit with more shade, less water needed, things like that. We've got a field team of 12 people that are out seeing farmers all the time. Really lots of intensive work the first couple years, less visits after that because they don't need it, but we're always there when they need it. We see every farmer at least a couple times a year, even in the later years when the trees are already 30, 40 feet tall and don't need much advice from us, just let them grow.
Great. And Matt, what's your second question?
Yeah, kind of maybe I missed it, but I was kind of just curious of like the unit economics of a tree of if
Yeah.
you have an acre, does it are there scale economies that you can get, or does it kind of stay flat no matter, how big you are?
No, I mean, it's definitely so. If you look at developing a larger project for a shell, for example, you're going to get more economies on 3,000 acres than you would on 300. And that's primarily through machinery and management and things like that. It's not any other way. Typically, a fast growing hardwood is going to be 25 years, maybe 20, something like that. The 8 to 10 years is really important for the economics. So you're getting 2 to 3 harvests and a time period of when you just get one harvest for another fast growing hardwood. That's one thing. So a typical acre here for the profit per acre is going to be around, or the revenue per acre when you harvest is going to be around $80,000 per acre. So, the average farmer in the US made $1 profit per acre last year. So, when they look at getting $40,000, $50,000, their share of that profit, it's a huge number for them. So the thing we've loved about working with small farmers, it brings their family back to the farm. It makes their whole operation more viable, not only in the US, but especially in Mexico and Costa Rica also.
Great. Brett, what's your second question?
Yeah, I'm curious about what risks you feel like you're facing, whether it's regulatory or geographical risks. What are your biggest risks?
Yeah, so I spoke about we've got 375 locations. One of the things we love about, listen, if we were just focusing on economics, we'd plant everything in Mexico and Costa Rica. It's less expensive to run the program or to do a large project. As you saw the growth we get, I mean, 30 feet in the first year, we get great growth in the US, but not 30 feet. But we care about mitigating risk by spreading it across regions. So 375 locations, we've had maybe one or two environmental events that have climate events that have impacted part of a farm, a windstorm, things like that. As I said, we stay away from drought, fires, stay away from, we're 100 kilometers off the coast, so stay away from the worst part of hurricanes. So anyone, I think, and if I were in your shoes, I'd say, man, there's market risk. I mean, how many new lumber species have been brought to the US market in the last 40 years? Now, we will be, I mean, we've had great success so far, huge demand, not enough supply. We'll be announcing some really big, sizable offtake agreements in the next couple weeks. And we just started really focusing on larger accounts because we'll have lumber to supply them. So I think that's really the remaining thing that we're in the business of really handling and taking care of, and really strong EBITDA level for next year.
Great. That's our 15 minutes. Thanks so much, Doug, for a great presentation. Great questions, guys. Let's bring up our third presenter, App Zero. Darvin, go ahead and launch your slides and kick off when ready.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Darpan Saini. I'm CEO of AppZero. We are an AI agent platform built for e-commerce companies. So to begin with, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the investment opportunity. Number one, e-commerce, as many of you may know, is actually a massive market. So what this shows here is just the total amount of online sales that's happening in e-commerce. I have a slide a little bit later where I'll talk about what the software opportunity in e-commerce is also. But just to give you an idea, 20% of all retail sales happen online. So it's 6 trillion last year and growing very rapidly. That being said, the shopping experience of most e-commerce websites, if not all of them, has actually remained pretty static over the last 20 years. And as a result, the conversion rate, which is the ratio of people that visit a website versus those who make a purchase, has remained stagnant at about 2%. So what this means is that e-commerce companies spend millions and millions of dollars on platforms like Google and Facebook to drive traffic to their websites, but 98% of that traffic does not end up buying. We improve the shopping experience. That's our expertise. So we provide AI agents that improve the shopping experience that results in higher conversion as a business value, that's reduction in customer acquisition cost and higher top line revenue for same marketing spend. So that's one of the main things that we do. This vertical focus in e-commerce helps us build defensibility in the technology. So as you know, the latest AI models are generalists. They have a lot of knowledge about the world, but tailoring AI models into a specific industry, in our opinion, is actually a way to build defensibility. So because we are focused on e-commerce, we build our product for e-commerce, we have proprietary knowledge graphs built for e-commerce companies, and that gives us a moat around our software. From a business model standpoint, we are software as a service. So we provide our software to merchants and they pay us annually. We are very familiar as a team with this concept of land and expand in SaaS. So we have done that before. And so we generally enter a company with a high impact use case and then expand from that into the rest of the business. We have very strong early traction. At this time last year, we had one customer and very, very early pilot, but now we have about 250K of ARR, 10 customers alive. We have strong pipeline going towards the end of the year and early next year. And then from a team standpoint, my background is in enterprise software. I previously built a company called Cloud Lending, which we exited to Q2 here locally in Austin. Cloud Lending automated lending operations for banks and fintechs. We had American Express as a customer, Rabobank, ABN AMRO, some of the largest banks, global institutions were our customers. I founded that company, sold that for about 130 million to Q2, which is now Q2 Lending. And then my co-founders, Daniel comes from the e-commerce world. So he has a lot of experience in e-commerce. So that gives us within the team a good mix of domain expertise and software expertise. A little bit more about the market opportunity itself. So this slide shows what we think is the software opportunity in e-commerce. Many ways to skin this. This data is coming from IDC, but a very relevant comp or a couple of comps here that I think we should pay attention to is Klaviyo, which is a public company. They do about $1 billion in revenue, and they primarily sell marketing solutions to Shopify merchants, which is a fraction of e-commerce actually. So Shopify is an e-commerce platform. Klaviyo gets 90% of the revenue from Shopify, and they sell to marketers, which is the same buyer as us. And they generate over $1 billion in revenue annually. And Braze similarly generates about 600 million in revenue. So there's a massive opportunity here to build a large software company that helps with customer acquisition and customer experience problems in e-commerce. So what is it that we actually do? What does the software actually do, right? So when you think about applying AI to customer experience in e-commerce, the first thing that comes to mind may be a chatbot. We believe that a chatbot is just one of the interfaces that will be used by customers as they engage with websites in the future. We create a variety of different experiences. So not only do we create a chatbot, which is something that customers and our customers, shoppers use, but we embed ourselves in different parts of the website. So when somebody is exploring or discovering a product, we have a quiz, which is an AI generated quiz. We have dynamically generated Q&A. We have product comparisons and these are all various user experiences that are generated by the AI for these e-commerce merchants, depending on what makes sense for that particular vertical or for that particular business. And then we think that this is a platform opportunity. So not only do we support just the revenue generating function, but then we move on to different channels. So think about engaging with an e-commerce company over email. That again can be powered by an AI agent, and it's the same AI agent that supports email conversations. The same AI agent can support SMS conversations. So from a product standpoint, we actually support the entire customer journey all the way from acquisition to post-purchase support. Some results from our existing customers. So Digital Room is a $400 million business. They are the second largest digital printing services, online digital printing services company in the US. They have 10 brands. We are live on one of their brands, and we are seeing in a blind A/B test. An A/B test is a way of testing a website which has our technology on it and a website which does not have our technology on it. So it's the same website with us on it and with us not on it, and we are demonstrating an 80 basis point increase in conversion. So material impact on the top line revenue of this company. Similarly, Trade Coffee, this is a business out of New York. They have over 100,000 subscribers. They are America's #1 specialty coffee company. For them, we are a little bit down funnel, so we don't help them with the acquisition yet, but we will be expanding into that part of the business. But we have completely automated their customer service, where 71% of all customer inquiries are now handled by the AI. And then to talk about a different vertical in the beauty industry, we have a company called Bombay Hair. They're both in US and Canada. 1 out of every 8 conversations or engagements with the AI actually leads to a sale. So very, very high conversion rate there as well. Before I end, just a little bit about the technology. It feels like building software with AI nowadays seems pretty easy, which to an extent is true. But to build real experiences that have business ROI, we have built layers of technology or layers in our stack that help with gathering data. So at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the data that you have. So we extract data from a whole bunch of downstream systems, bring them into a proprietary product knowledge graph that is able to then power these various experiences across different parts of the website. As far as our traction is concerned, these are expansion opportunities that we have in our current accounts and the kind of customers that we're talking to. So this also, will help understand who is our target market. So our target market are companies that do over 50 million in revenue. So these are sort of mid-size e-commerce companies and up. And so, we're talking to Swarovski, we're talking to Leatherman. These are well-known brands, and our deal sizes here accordingly are going to be at this sort of mid-market to enterprise level. And that's the place where we want to be. That's where our experience is, and that's where we think the software has the maximum ROI. As far as this round goes, finally we are raising 1 million. We raised 3.5 million before from Coda Capital, which is with whom we incubated this business. They were also investors in my previous company. I, as a CEO, I'm deeply invested into the company. I have invested 400K myself previously, and now I'm investing 200K additional in this round. The primary use of funds here is going to be on actually scaling our go-to-market. So as you know, we have about 10 customers live, and by the end of the year, we want to get to 1 million ARR. We have a strong pipeline, but we want to go to events. We want to increase awareness about our company, increase awareness about these amazing results that we have. So most of the use of these funds are actually going to be towards the go-to-market because we've spent a fair amount of time in building the platform. So I'll stop there. So we are a mission-driven company. We help e-commerce businesses increase their revenue through better customer experience. So happy to take any questions.
Great job, Darpin. Matt, what's your first question?
Yeah, I'm curious about implementation. How hard is it to implement, and what's the average time to live to get these accounts getting value from it?
So the time to value in e-commerce for a variety of reasons is actually should be very short because e-commerce companies, unlike financial institutions or health institutions, actually tend to move very fast. So our implementation timelines for most of our companies is between 3 to 4 weeks. So Digital Room, which is a large enterprise, we were able to get up and running on one of their brands inside 4 weeks. And some of the smaller customers, we even have modules that can actually go live plug and play. So if you are a Shopify shop, for instance, we can take some of our modules live just through a self-service flow. And then from that point onwards, an iteration of improving the AI results.
Great. And Brett, what's your first question?
Yeah, when you're talking to these potential clients, what is the pushback that you are typically receiving from them? And then what's an example of a client ROI metric? For instance, is it time saving, cost savings for using using App Zero versus any other automated traditional automation?
So to answer the first question, we are in the early stages of AI adoption. So we don't necessarily get a lot of pushback from customers in terms of adoption. It's that we are focused on early adopters who already know and understand AI technology. So there's not much pushback. There's more of education on what ROI we can bring to their business and what are the use cases and where you can apply AI for your customer interaction. So I wouldn't say that there is necessarily pushback. For example, there isn't much of regulatory pushback as far as e-commerce is concerned. Now, the business ROI is primarily revenue focused. So we help them increase this thing called conversion rate, which is, like I mentioned, 2%, right? So this company actually has pretty decent conversion rate at about 4%, but with us, they were able to get 4.8%. So that's a material impact on top line revenue. The other metrics tend to be around average order value. Average order value is how much a person is spending every time they go to a website. We are able to increase that because once you are getting guided, personalized experience, you can find the right product, and then the AI can start bundling products together and offering discounts on those bundles. So that leads to higher average order value. And then once you're down funnel, it's a resolution rate, right? So how much are you resolving as far as your customer support is concerned? In the previous generation of chatbots, companies used to have high claims, but anyone who has chatted ever with a previous generation of chatbot knows that they were very, very poor. And so if an older style company is claiming that they have 70% resolution, that is a very, very suspicious metric. But anyone who's chatted with ChatGPT, that your satisfaction rate with that interface is actually very, very high. And so because it's built on LLMs, this resolution rate is actually true resolution rate and not the previous generation of chatbot, which we have all come to hate.
Right. And Matt, what's your second question?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to go down is, you're seeing a lot of these AI, we'll call it AI first service companies, chatbots, whatever you want to call it, kind of moving to an outcome-based model versus SaaS model, presumably because they think they can drive their ARPU up. So I'm curious, if you have a company that's doing 50 million and you're powering their e-commerce outcomes, what slice of that do you think you can get to? And can you get there with just the SaaS model, or will you need to move to an outcome-based model, or is there a SaaS plus ticker model that kind of combines both of them, or how are you thinking about that?
I think ultimately it will go to a SaaS plus outcome-based model. At this point in time, having an outcome-based model increases friction in our process because e-commerce culturally is not tuned to that kind of pricing. So I come from financial services where having a certain percentage of assets under management as part of your pricing is just normal. And so nobody's surprised when you go into a bank and you say, look, my software is going to be a percentage of the loan volume that I generate or the loans that you're servicing. In e-commerce, that culture doesn't exist or they're not used to it. So that increases friction in our process, which we don't want to introduce right now. SaaS is very easy for us at the moment. But I do agree with you that there are companies that are experimenting with outcome-based models, but there is friction in that process. I think we will get there. But at this point in time, reducing friction is in our benefit. So even if we are leaving some money on the table with early customers, I think that's acceptable because our pricing is in, for me, the acceptable range of between 30 to 50K starting, right? And this will only go up from here. So once we get to 75K, I think we are pretty serious, sort of mid-market, ACV versus costs, right? So,
Okay.
so I'm not too concerned about outcome-based pricing at this point in time.
Great. Well, that's the end of our time. Thanks so much for a great presentation, Darvin. Thanks. Great question, guys. At this point, we're going to have a short presentation on investing in deep tech. We're increasingly seeing more deep tech technologies come in. I'm going to kick off here, and then afterwards, we're going to be jumping into breakout rooms. So with this, we'll be back in just a moment. And right now, let's just see what we can do more about with the deep tech space. We heard two deep tech companies today and looking to see more of these come in as well. So let me get my screen here put together and we will kick off. Let's see. All right. So like I say, we're seeing an increasing number of companies coming through that are in the deep tech space and looking forward to working with more of them. And there's several reasons why. If you're not an investor in deep tech, what you're going to find out very soon is that there is a shift in the venture capital world into deep tech for several reasons. One is the enterprise SaaS businesses. Pretty crowded. And so there's plenty of other industries and plenty of other technologies that are coming up that are getting a lot of pull into based on what they can actually bring. So for those who are not familiar, deep tech is described as technology that is based on real engineering, hardcore engineering, and scientific advances and discoveries. You'll see these in chronic disease, climate change, clean energy, food production. We saw two of those here today. Also, you'll see that there's an increasing collaboration between scientists and technologists, as well as the business world. They're trying to solve certain problems, such as climate tech, as one example here. Here is a list of some of the areas you'll find deep tech in. In some cases, they're not just consumer facing, they are underlying technologies that drive infrastructure and drive outcomes. And so vision and speech, robotics, AI, machine learning is big. Big data, blockchain, advanced materials. All of these are seeing a lot of investment from the government as well as from the private sector into pushing the boundaries on those. One of the reasons we're seeing is that there is just a lot of new advances in the marketplace, gene editing, AI, these are the quantum computing, these things are coming to fruition with new technologies that are ready for commercialization. And many of the industries, even if they're slow moving, energy, transportation, what have you, are actually adopting those technologies at a great rate. And so basically, there's just very high rewards for those that can actually put together a great solution as well. One of the things we'll see is that there's lots of misconceptions about the deep tech space. Some say that the technical risk is high. Technical risk is about the same as any other, although there are different challenges. Scaling is one of the bigger challenges you'll see in a deep tech process. You'll see many lab prototypes that look great, work great, but to scale it is may or may not maintain the same unit economics. Some say it is expensive. There's plenty of government funding that counterbalances that. Most of these companies have $1, $2, $3, $5 million worth of grant funding to pay for the basic cost of the technology. Some think that deep tech startups fail more. I think it's companies with inexperienced teams fail more, and you find a predominance of those in many deep tech applications. And so, still, the rules of funding and investing in startups still apply. You do have to find a good team that is well-rounded, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Next is slow. If you're still doing basic research to understand the physics that may not be ready for commercialization, if you do have it figured out, well, then it could be a good candidate for investment now. And the last one is some people feel like you need to have a PhD to invest. I don't believe that's true. I don't think you have to know how every molecule works. I think you just need to know how that technology impacts the market. That's where the magic is in deep tech applications. In looking at deep tech, what I find is there are certain biases. Some people kind of take a sci-fi basis to this or bias to this, where they're actually looking at it like a science fiction project. We've seen a lot of different humanoid robots come out recently, just like they did 100 years ago. Unfortunately, some of those are still futuristic. They're just not ready for commercialization. Then there's also the prototype that works, but it doesn't look great, and it has the ugly duckling bias. The key there is, not to look at how well it looks, but actually as how well it's working. What problem is it solving, and how important is that problem? And then there is the opposite of that, the pretty box bias. And this is where the pilot looks great, the prototype works wonderful, but they really haven't figured out how to scale it yet. And this can be a trap for investors. It looked like it was working great, but on a bench top is one level, but in a production setting, that could be a very different one. And then the last bias is the Theranos bias, which is, is this smoke and mirrors? Are they faking the numbers? Is this real numbers? And of course, due diligence needs to be very strong here. Technical due diligence must be at play. You need to be cognizant of that. The returns are the same and sometimes better in the deep tech space. Just like I say, you're working at things at the physics level, which can be infrastructure plays and other things that could have huge returns. On a weighted basis, deep tech is traditionally outweighed traditional VC in returns. So it is a good place to look at it. I find this is one area where the family offices really come to the fore. We see a lot of high net worth and family offices playing in this space as well. It has major impact. It has long-term gains, and so we see a good participation from them. So if you're running a deep tech company, a few things to consider. First, balance risk and ambition. I find people have great visions. The challenge I find is they want it all on day one. I think it takes many years to build out these companies to the level that will reach the vision, and we have to have a business model that will survive that many years. You need to make money in the early days as well as in the later ones. Next is shape a compelling narrative. You need to do more than just tell how the science works. You need to show how it impacts the market. And this is the part of the presentation we're always looking for, is what the impact on the business case might be. Next, you need to have a long-term business plan. These things grow in steps and stages. You're often starting with a prototype and an MVP, but then you're moving to a pilot project, and then you're moving to a bigger pilot project, and then you're actually going commercial with it. So there are a few more steps that go into it. And next is you have to create market proof points. And along these steps, you have to demonstrate the market is interested in what you're doing. It has to generate interest from the users. It has to be generating, demonstrate that it actually works and does what it says it can. And then finally, find the right investors. Those who are a little bit more patient investors do well with deep tech. Again, family offices fit this model very well. So if you want to succeed with deep tech, make sure you articulate the impact, not just what the science does, but how the impact really comes out at the end of the day. Next, showcase feasibility and fit. Those who rate grant funding, I always coach them, use the money to build a prototype. Don't write a white paper. A prototype will generate angel funding. A white paper will not. So you want to use the money carefully that you get from granting so that it leverages follow-on funding afterwards. Next is leverage networks. You need to be a part of the community and understand how you can find the key people to help you make decisions and help you build the product that you're working with. It has to be a cross-functional team. a team with 10 scientists is probably not going to succeed. We need maybe fewer scientists and more business people, marketing people, go-to-market people, et cetera. And then next is engage partners. You need to build a community with you and find the right partners that can help open doors, help you get that grant, help you get that pilot project, help you get that first sale. That's where the magic is building a network of people that really can take you all the way through. There is more funding now. The Inflation Reduction Act spurred many new grants that are out there. There are many loans and convertible notes, and there's always been standard SBAR and other grants out there that you can get. And so you want to make sure you're aware of what's available to your group. And so finally, you need some skills for thriving in the deep tech space. Here's a big list that goes with it. And one of the key ones I like is the thinking systems juggling. That is, you need to be understanding how each of these different groups think and work. They're very different. How the business world works is different from the science world, which is different from many other parts of the community that you have to deal with. So you always have to reframe what you're saying to the group that you're going to and rethink and reposition what you're doing so it's relevant to who you're talking to, because you will deal with a wide range of people through this process as well. And so if you're building a deep tech product, make sure you're looking at the core technologies and science that you have. You're building a good, solid R&D team. I think the one thing, as in most cases, investors are looking for a strong team, but in this case, they're really looking for a very strong team. So you have to know the science very well. You have to know the business very well. You have to know the domain very well, and they are looking for that. And so you want to look at how you can become effective in this marketplace. You do need to build a community as you go out. You need to have a large network of people to go to for technical issues, business issues, funding issues, and so forth. So the earlier you start building that, the better you can do with building a deep tech system. And finally, you look for the markets where you can disrupt it, significantly. Nobody's going through all this trouble to make just a small percentage gain. You really want 10, 100x improvement on the outcome. So look for where it has the biggest impact, and that's where you'll find the best deep tech startups to invest in. So I want to thank you guys. If you have any questions about this, please see me in the breakout rooms. We are at the end of our presentation time here, but all of these presenters will be in a breakout room, and we'd love to talk with you about your questions and how you can work with them as well. So with that, let me stop sharing the screen, and we'll see if Kat is ready to take us into the breakout rooms.
Hi, everyone. All breakout rooms will be open in just a sec. They will be open for about 15 minutes. So after the 15 minutes, I will close them out.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time, and I'll see you guys in the breakout room. Come see me if you have any questions about 10 Capital or the Deep Tech.